Hello and welcome to the Indian Sun. My guest today needs no introduction. He's the man behind the biggest Diwali festival in Victoria. He's the founder and chairman of Celebrate India, which has been organizing the Victorian Festival of Diwali at the iconic Federation Square since 2006. We are very pleased to have you with us, Mr. Arun Sharma.
Namaskar, it's pleasure is all mine, Harsha.
I'm sure this is the busiest time of year for you, so thank you very much for taking time out for us.
It's a real pleasure. It is a busy time, you're spot on there, because it's the biggest festival which we have to celebrate. And we are very excited and we are all getting ready. The entire team is actually working pretty hard, so certainly is a busy time.
We look forward to that.
Oh,
so this year has been very bleak. How do you plan to lift the spirits?
Very good question, Harsha, because this year is an amazing year, actually. Very rarely in one's life you come across an event which stops the whole world in its own track. And I think it's done it as it's created a lot of challenges for the community, for individuals, and there have been a lot of sad affairs in businesses and families, loss of lives, and all kind of effects it's left with. It also is, in my opinion, is a challenge. And I think that's how we look at it, because every dark cloud has got a silver lining. And I think we prefer to look at the silver line. So challenge is taken, and we definitely, like many other events which have been cancelled in Victoria, we're definitely not stopping, and we want to continue. And therefore, a digitally organized and streamed program will be there on the day which we planned for. So nothing much has changed, except the challenges are big because this is the first time we're doing everything digitally, almost everything. Every day seems like a dynamic. We don't know what the restrictions will be next week. And depending on that, we are planning few activities building up to the main event, which will start again from 3rd of November, and hoping that we'll be able to carry it out. But if plan A doesn't work, we got plan B planned, and hopefully we don't have to go there. But whatever comes our way, we're ready for it. Besides that, sorry,
no,
I just wanted to add that beside that, we actually have already started activities. Because before we even reached this level, we felt that we need to feel the nerve of our community. And in my field, I come across a lot of people who are not well. Therefore, we are sensing some sort of low level of mental health status in the community. So therefore, we decided to do some activities on the Facebook, which is a medium anybody can do from home. And trying to find out where they're at, trying to give them something creative so they can connect with the life again, and hopefully we are able to build some hope in their life. And we finished 2 competitions on Facebook, and they have really gone very well. Very pleased with that. So we're ready for the 3rd one, the major one.
Great. And what's the theme of this year?
Our theme is focused around we are very proud to have a very ancient, amazing civilization, which is full of diversity, full of colors. So we are focusing on the folk and culture, traditional dances and music of India this year. That's every year we have a theme. So this one is purely focused on that.
Okay, so this time is digital. Do you see it as an opportunity to reach out to a wide audience?
Definitely. Initially, we thought we won't be able to see that many people in the square. That's an instant reaction by not only me, but the whole team. And that sort of felt very odd and different because we've known and used to seeing thousands and thousands of people which are overflowing from Fed Square and different venues which we have events in. But we felt that being digital, we can reach more people, we can involve more people. So we got some dance groups and other performers coming from different parts of Australia, as well as from other parts of the world. Therefore, we decided to stream as far as we can, and hoping that they'll join us, and we'll reach more people, wider
Yeah,
audience right across the globe.
we hope to. So,
Uh,
did your team get enough time to prepare? Because none of us had really foreseen how the events would unfold. Did they get good time to prepare?
Oh no, no, no! It's a very, like I said, it's a very different year, and not only different but also dynamic. The situation is changing on week to week level. So we had, like, from the beginning, we kept looking for alternate, and in the alternate, we kept looking for what else can we do and how else we can add value to it. The important thing is, because our audience, especially almost 60% of the audience, which comes back again and again, we knew that they looked for something new, something different from us every year. So that's been our challenge. So we continually kept doing it. And in fact, this challenge became very interesting because now we got some collaborative items happening between India and Australian artists. We have some items just like that going between other states of Australia and Melbourne artists. So it's becoming amazingly collaborative and interesting now.
Good to hear that. And are
Yeah,
the organizer facing unique challenges in holding the event amid the pandemic?
absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, when we don't even know what's coming tomorrow, when we plan something today and tomorrow we don't know how it'll be shaping up, it's a biggest challenge to deal with because every minute we hear some news and we're ready to move. I mean, if you don't, you can might as well pack it up and cancel the event. So it's a ever changing situation, and it's similarly the challenges are forever there.
Kudos to your team for organizing the event despite all the challenges. Okay.
Well, thank you.
Coming across the world, the Indian diaspora is now famous for retaining its identity through its traditional arts. In Melbourne, Celebrate India is at the forefront of promoting traditional art form. So, my question is, from the outset, were the organizers very clear about promoting arts, or it took a few years for things to pan out the way they are today? I'm asking this because Bollywood dance is a crowd puller and therefore difficult to resist.
Very true. Very true. I think it wasn't as popular in early years, but it has been
Mhm.
always easier for the Bollywood as such.
Right.
Uh, Now, to answer your question, the first part of your question, uh, when we came here, the community was small. The Indian community was very small. We came from different parts of India, so as such, our diversity was playing a role. But then coming to a new land where we did not know anybody, there was no family support, not even friends there, so it was very difficult. So what we found, it was very natural for the all the migrants to get together and find solace in each other's company. At the same time, as we start to settle in, the young families start to have children, it became a very challenging thing for us to find that our children may not be able to relate to this culture, which we're very proud of, as we did, because they're growing with Australian community and Australian community culture. We also trying to find out what it is. Therefore, it becomes a very big concern among them. We continue to celebrate our festivals at the time, but in smaller groups and also within our own community. And slowly, some Australian friends start to join, but we still remain mostly within ourselves. But at that time, I think the idea came across to us and a couple of our friends we discussed with, and they quite like understood what we're saying. Because what we felt that we need to celebrate this culture of ours, which we're very proud of, with our non-Indians, with our Australian friends and neighbors, and get them involved. We also felt that when we get them involved, we might get our children involved as well. That was a dream. That was a feeling we had that that might work better. Because to tell directly or ordering your children was the easiest thing, which how we grew up in India with, but it wasn't going to happen in Australia. So we felt that, and therefore we started this organization in 2005 towards the end. And we also felt that We need to share with them the best of Indian culture. Our culture is not Bollywood alone. In fact, Bollywood plays a very small part of but prominent part of the culture. But then there's so much richness. We needed to show the variety, the diversity, and to do that, this platform we took with the sole purpose of sharing the Indian culture, best of it, and sharing with the wider community and get them involved in it. That was our purpose. And therefore, the first festival which we pick up also because it's got a beautiful theme. The background theme was amazing to not only just the famous one to remove the darkness with the light, but it's also what it meant. We felt that that's important to share with them. And therefore, Diwali remained the biggest festival and continue to be growing bigger and bigger.
Amen. Amen. So, cultural festivals also create tangible wealth. What has been the event's contribution to the city economy, and how has the revenue increased over the years?
Well, I might have to take the question other way around and answer it differently. That when we started the festival, we only had 1 day festival, and it was a short 6 to 7 hours long festival, which was still a day long. But that was in 2006. But seeing its like a well likeness and amazing acceptance by the wider community and the participation, we continue to grow. And for last almost 7 to 8 years precisely, I wouldn't be able to give you that, but about 8 years, we've been running a week-long festival. So in that period, obviously the figures are different. And that allowed us to do variety of activities, bring different parts, whether it's a culinary expertise and culinary variety of India to craft and art and different films as well. And then, of course, the traditional program and have it on a big day. We did a pretty detailed survey in 2018. And on the day, with the city of Melbourne, on the day, the survey which highlighted one thing was that on the day alone, the revenue generated was more than $1.5 million contribution to the community economy of the Victoria. Not to count all the programming, preparation, and all the other activities which we do throughout the week and prior to the week in city of Melbourne and Victoria, all the other amounts which gets contributed and generated from there, including the employment. So it is now stands out to be the tier 1 festival in city of Melbourne and Victorian government itinerary because of the contribution we do. So
come a long way.
Yes, we're very proud of it. In fact, we were shocked when we found out those figures by this independent group. We didn't know that how deep. We knew we were making some impact, but we had no gauze, something to show it for. And that's why this, independent survey was carried out, and they came with this report. So we're very proud of that.
Okay. We'll go a little backwards and talk about the initial years. Tell us, how did you get into organizing the festival, or rather, what compelled you to start this event?
I personally, we are like very community-minded people. When we landed here first time in 70s, I think it took me less than a week to get connected with a community organization which was already existing in Perth, and I was there. Then we moved to Melbourne, and again, same thing, the biggest community organization I was introduced to, and I was part of it. I was involved with running the events and just continued to take interest. For me, that was the only way to give it back to the community, which we wanted to make it as rich as we can and be part of it. So, and of course, it goes two ways, because being part of something, not only you can do something back to the community, but also you feel connected. So it was doing quite nicely two ways for us. And I was very fortunate that when I got married a few years later, my wife was of a similar interest, and she was involved in the community as well. and she was involved with the art and some culture one way or another. So we both joined it. So that was my introduction to this, and it remained for 45 years now. 45th year I'm running in, and I don't think I remember 1 year away from it. So we've been always involved with one thing or another. Organizing, once we believe in something, it's not that difficult now, as you can imagine, with the experience, for us to organize anything. And when we found a good reason for it, the heart goes with it. Blessings we take from our God, and that's it. We committed for it. That's where we are from.
You have been organizing this event for over 14 years now, and a lot has changed in these years. We're a bigger community now. So, how has the event undergone changes in terms of engagement, participation, and visibility?
This is our 15th year, like you said, and we have changed. We've seen a lot of changes. We've seen the changes in the community where in 2006, early when we started to go and try to get the community involved, like City of Melbourne, their council, Lord Mayor, and introduced this event to Victorian government and other community organizations, which was like even a few years after, nobody knew about Diwali. Nobody understood what Diwali meant at all. So we had to use different word, try to explain them what it means, like Festival of Lights, and very similar to Christmas. And then I used to take some photographs from India, how the buildings are decorated and all sorts of things to try to make them understand. And I can show you that not even one Australian could even say Diwali properly. They were just not at all connected with it. And that was our challenge. But what I've seen over the years is that when people send a message totally from nowhere or call us and they say, what's happening at Diwali this year? And even the organizations, we go and try to get them involved in our festivity, including AFL, for example. AFL is the biggest sporting organization in Australia. And for Australians, sport is the religion. So you can understand what I'm talking about. It's like cricket to Indians. Sport is to them, and AFL is first one, and cricket is next. When they were introduced, it was very interesting that almost few people knew what Diwali is all about before we got them to get them involved with our organization. And that is how much it changed. Everybody just comes across now when we say we don't have to explain where we're coming from, what we're doing. Diwali at Federation Square, oh yes, we've been there, or we've seen it, or we know about it. So it's becoming a lot easier, absolutely a lot easier. The other way to look at it is that when we started it, we obviously did not have even one single participant in the program. But over the years, a number just kept growing. We even have a non-Indian in our team of management. We have non-Indian performers up to the extent of 22% of our last year's performers were non-Indian. And of course, the participants in businesses, the restaurants, and craft bazaar, which we have, there are a lot of non-Indians. And we are so proud of it that we started to make some inroad. Another thing which we started with is we were very concerned about the younger generation. And today I can say proudly that 80% of our management group is younger people to start with. And even on the day in the attendance, there's a huge number. There's about 45% people are younger people. And not to talk about the international students. So we are very proud of that. And international students, like not just from India. So they're all coming from different parts of the world. But that's how much it's changed.
Right.
So
do you have a favorite memory from the inaugural festival?
I think the nerves were very. It sort of comes and tells me that first year we had certain plans and we were pretty organized from our point of view, but not knowing how the community is going to respond to it and not knowing the reaction from people was the biggest nerve-wracking experience I could still remember. It's very vivid in my mind. By the time we reached the traditional ceremony of the function where we do the formal opening, and all the VIPs were there on the stage, and I was standing there. My wife was there, was part of the team, and my other friends and team members, they were all around. We sang our national anthem from the stage with about 25,000 people. And I still think about that moment and I get goosebumps everywhere. I cannot believe the sensation, the feelings that from the city of Melbourne, city right in the heart of the city, we're singing so loud that
And
anthem.
20,000 people.
Yes, it was totally crowded at the time, and I cannot forget that moment. That was proudest moment we felt. Those first memory stays in my mind and keeps coming back.
How many months do you roughly spend organizing the festival every year? And what has been your proudest accomplishment in 14 years?
Time-wise, for me, because it's literally year-round. Because whatever we can't do, we start planning items. And if we can't do this year for financial reasons or other logistic reasons, then the item goes to the next year. So it's just continuously going on. And if we deal with community organizations, other organizations like Australian community organization or Australian business and sporting organization, and it's a process. It doesn't just happen by itself. The relationship has to be established. They need to understand where we're coming from. They need to probably watch it. So it's a forever going. So throughout the year, there's a lot of background work happens. The sponsorship, paperwork, all those things starts literally in February. And I finish after the festival somewhere in December before going for about 3 to 4 weeks time. I'll really try to stay away from Celebrate India so that I can have a bit of recharging from batteries, and family can still sort of allow me to to be there with them. Otherwise, I'll be in big trouble. So and then again by March, we start to get people, our team members involved, and just the ball just keeps rolling and keep getting busier and busier. So it's literally it's a year-long process. I forgot the second part of the question. Sorry, what did you say?
No, that was the question actually.
Oh,
The challenge is okay. The challenge you faced in the initial years.
Challenges, yeah. Again, to raise the funds, like connecting with the community was a big challenge. Trying to convince people was a challenge. Everybody wanted to see first time. Once we done it, they'll actually able to see that what we're talking about and how it looks and how it can connect. Then it was very easy for the second time for them to come across. But first time to raise the funds and try to make it happen, because we're not for profit organization. So we do not have any money sitting there or charging people, even $1. We can't charge. So there's no raising funds from any source except some support and sponsorship from organizations. So it was very hard. And it remained challenged for first few years. But slowly it became a bit easier because the support from government organizations became, we don't have to convince, they know how big and how reliable this group has been, and become a very important part of the Victorian calendar. In fact, I must tell you that the name Victorian Festival of Diwali actually came not from me, not from our organization. In fact, it came from the premier at the time, who on the stage said that this festival cannot be owned by Indian community alone and doesn't belong to them now. It's part of the Victorian calendar. Therefore, it's a Victorian festival. And we were so proud because there were so many Australians around in the crowd, and he mentioned everything. So he named it and we adopted it. So
good, you told us this.
Yeah. So there's a very interesting some moments in the whole 14 years, and yeah, challenge still continues in different forms and manners now.
The choice of venue is the most important thing for any festival to become a huge success. And Federation Square proved out to be a brilliant choice, the heart of the city. So whose idea was it?
Oh, well, my wife used to work at, she's been part and like literally partner in entire thing with very good friend of mine, Virender. We've been working very closely. And then before that, there were a couple of others, very important members of the executive. Janardhan Rao, who helped us financially as well, and he was an ex-consul general at the time of India, honorary consul general, and he supported us with the money and made some contacts with the like Lord Mayor and a few other people, which was very helpful to start with, and then a few other members. But those committee members sort of grew from there. But my wife, who used to work as a journalist broadcaster with SBS Radio, and SBS had just moved at that time in Federation Square when they opened. And when we were visiting one evening when I went there to pick her up after work, and we were just talking about it, and she said, "This is the place we were talking about. This is the place you should have it." And it's central. It's perfectly, which is, of course, there's nothing to say. The building was challenged. It had just opened, so we looked at the venue there, and it couldn't be better. And it took us literally about 1 week to talk to them and convince them, and they were quite happy to accept us. And the relationship has not changed a bit. In fact, it's grown to be a very close relationship with Federation Square.
So we'll give the credit to your wife.
For among many other things.
Absolutely. We'll talk a little bit about you, Mr. Sharma. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your family?
What do you want to know about me? My family, I can tell you, yes. My wife is part of this organization. She's been part of my life for 40 years now, almost. 40 years, yes. And in every activity, we have worked together. Like I said, along with my other very good friends, Virender. And got 2 children. They both are now adult, and they both have given their blessings and support. They're right behind us for whatever we do, and they help us in more than one way in getting this festival across the line every year. So we're very, very appreciative of that and thankful that they're with us and not stopping us. Like I said, my wife come from a journalist background. I'm a health professional, still privately practicing in Melbourne. And this is my second job.
And when did you come to Australia?
I came in 77.
Okay.
And I landed in Perth first. And after 6 months, I moved to Melbourne. And that's it.
So you lived for a very long time now. How has the city changed since the time you came here?
Oh, we've seen big changes. That's true in this period, as you can imagine. When we came here, the population was a lot smaller. Trying to find Indians was a task, or anybody from that continent, like that part of the world. So I remember that early years when every weekend we used to meet somewhere among friends. And when we were going from one place to another, if we see somebody who's looking slightly like our skin color, it was very normal for any one of us, and I know I've done it, stop the car, get out and go and meet them and find out if they're from India, Bangladesh or Pakistan, not Bangladesh, but Pakistan and anywhere there. And if they're there, obviously we wanted to know about where they're staying and do they want to come and join us, because we were still a bigger community and we still had the means to get together while they were still building it up. So that was a common phenomena, and there was nothing available, no restaurants, no spice stores in every suburbs. In fact, there was none at all, and no phone call, no smartphones. So we come from that time to now where literally like you have to go to CBD in the heart of Melbourne and you'll be surprised. The Indians everywhere. And seen the change in 80s when the Indian students start to come here, and the whole scenario of the community has changed. And now we're one of the biggest Indian base in Melbourne.
So, how long did it take for you to settle down and feel at home in Melbourne?
Not very long. In fact, the Perth was a challenge. It was too different, very isolating, and that was something I could not settle in. But Melbourne, when I came, when I saw the potholes in the road, I felt at home. I felt I'm in Delhi. That's the first thing. And second thing, the traffic was looking a lot more like a discipline. But every now and then the car will stop somewhere and they'll say hello to somebody, and that's India. That's a small version of India, so I'll accept that. Um,
That's good.
and of course the people, like people in Victoria, and my experience was just amazing. I cannot forget that. So it's been really pleasing and very welcoming they were. So I remain very confident. In my hospital where I was first, like took the job. It was so nice to meet those people. How welcoming, how warm they were towards us. So that was main reason why I stayed here, and I remain connected.
Coming to the end of this interview, would you like to say something to the new migrants in Melbourne, or for that matter, Australia?
Oh my God, there'd be probably your interview had to be extended. What I want to say to our young members. Um, there's a lot I want to say, really, but I will keep it brief because I know it's a limited time. Um, I think they need to. I know they're coming for their life, and it's very difficult for them. But at the same time, when they come in, they need to respect the law of the land. They need to appreciate that. They must also feel that they are representing India, Indian culture, Indian values. Uh, you don't need to run away from it. These are facts. You need to remain Indians. Need to remain proud Indian and maintain those values and culture. And if you do that, everybody else will respect you for what you are. When people try to change for anybody, they belong nowhere. They do not become Australian. They do not remain Indian, and that's a sad fact. I think if anything is most important, this will be the first thing I would advise them. And of course, once you adopt and behave like that way, and you just feel that every one of us are representing India, then all the things which we end up doing wrong or shortchanging ourselves or the community won't be happening. So let's hope somebody listens to us and make a change.
No, that's a very good advice, Ivy.
I
Thank you
want to add
so much.
something else, Pasha,
Yeah,
before you go, because
sure.
there's couple of things like I said to you, in the festival we always try to bring something new, and they new doesn't mean just for the sake of new, but what's happening in the community, what's touching our hearts. That's very important for us. So this year we have, like I said, on Facebook we started a couple of initiatives, which was art and craft initiative, and that was fantastic. That was very well received, and a lot of participants came. We just finished a very popular Sing for Diwali competition on our Facebook again with amazing number of entries and participation from different states as well as from India. So again, that's very heartwarming for all our team. I really enjoy. We're gonna have another competition which we do since 2008, and that's Light for Diwali. But this time we want to include and make it multicultural. We want to go from Light for Diwali to Christmas. So we're encouraging people who celebrate Christmas to also illuminate for Diwali and vice versa. So therefore, the barrier of religion can be broken and continue to be broken. That's one thing. The second thing that we lost a very important young man who came from a very middle class, like a soil of India, families of India, Sushant Singh Rajput I'm talking about. And he lost his life, been cut short for some reason or another. The person was really holding up the Indian values very well. He had the very big heart, very honest persona behind him. So he was using that platform of being a star in such a nice way that he'll go and help and spend time with the old elderly people in India, the homeless people. He will look after the orphanage, orphan guys, orphan children, and look after their education. And on top of that, he was environmentalist. So he was like encouraging everybody to put trees and all sorts of things. So we are doing a special tribute for such a iconic figure of India, and someone who's young and making a lot of connection with the youth of India and teaching them good values. So we are going to do the special tribute in the program, as well as the community has decided, along with our committee, we are contributing to Parks Victoria here, and raising funds to donate planting 120 trees in Werribee Mansion, and we are going to build a Shushan's Corner just as a tribute to this young man. So that's another big thing which we're very happy and proud of, because that does connect to a lot of Indian youth internationally. And third thing is that our international students who are going through a very difficult time at this stage in this pandemic, because the universities are struggling and they're not even open half the time, and because the businesses are closed, most of them in Melbourne, so they have no means to make any money to sort of look after, pay the bills, and get the food and all sorts of things. So they're pretty struggling, and often they're not talked about it. So many of them, when we come across, find that they're struggling. So with the help of another sponsor of ours, India Food, we are going to give them our first 125 at this stage, who will register during third. We could have a masterclass for a quick healthy food to be made on the run for the students in mind on 3rd of November by a very internationally renowned chef called Jaswinder Singh, who will present this workshop. And at that time, we'll open the register for 125 students, and we'll give them Diwali gift pack, which will at least be able to look after their meals and food products for about 2 months. So that's another contribution we'll try to make from Diwali platform.
Thank you for giving this information to viewers. And thank you for giving us your time.
The pleasure is all mine. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Really, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.